One of the last state-owned rail lines is being sold to the company that has leased the line since 1998. It's a deal that puts $75 million in state coffers, with plans to rebuild a long-abandoned rail spur to Cushing, and promises that someday passenger trains will once again run between Oklahoma City and Tulsa.
An overflow crowd waited patiently for the Department of Transportation Commission meeting to wade through its entire agenda before getting to the last item: sale of the Sooner Sub. 97.5 miles of curving rail line that runs between Midwest City and Sapulpa, a rail line the state bought from the BNSF Railroad back in 1998 for around $6 million. A line that was in such bad shape at the time that trains could not even use it. After a lengthy presentation about the history of the sale process, Commerce Secretary Larry Parman revealed the recommendation of 5 cabinet secretaries.
By our unanimous vote, the committee respectfully recommends that the Sooner Sub rail line be sold, and be sold to Stillwater Central Railroad.
The Stillwater Central Railroad, a subsidiary of Watco out of Pittsburgh, Kansas, signed a lease with the state back in 1998 and got to work rebuilding the old rail line, transforming it into what it is today, moving freight on 30,000 rail cars a year. In recent months, passenger trains ran on the line to show the state just how much interest there is in returning the Sooner Sub to what it was back in the early 1900s. A railroad that moved people every day between the state's 2 largest metro areas, Oklahoma City and Tulsa. The 5 members of Governor Fallon's cabinet spent months reviewing proposals for the sale versus keeping it in state ownership. The recommendation was to sell it for $75 million in cash to the Stillwater Central. Rick Webb is the company's CEO.
And we consider Oklahoma as a fantastic place to do business. The reason why we felt so strongly about our bid and so strongly about putting the amount of money on the table that we did was for really 2 reasons. It's the commitment of the customer and the dedication of the Watco team member that made this happen.
The other bidder for the line was the BNSF, which offered $25 million in cash and promised $45 million more in upgrades to the line. The 5 cabinet secretaries opted for the $75 million up front.
Because at the end of the day, you have to worry about performance and the ability to deliver. So we took quite a bit of time to explore the financial capability of these 2 companies. So we feel pretty comfortable that they can stand up and that they can deliver and take care of the financial commitments they're making.
The Department of Transportation got lots of phone calls and letters over the sale, the vast majority urging the state not to sell the rail line. Some came from businesses that use the Stillwater Central now and were fearful that a sale to the BNSF would mean a loss of rail service. Others opposed the sale, fearing it would mean an end to any hopes of passenger rail service. Among them, State Representative Richard Morissette.
I have yet to speak to a single member of the House of Representatives that believes that the sale of this line is in the best interest of the people of Oklahoma. This is an asset. This is an asset that is going to accumulate in value over time.
Representative Morissette says a state law gave ODOT all the options on what to do with the line, but the agency seemed in a hurry to sell.
Once you sell it, it's gone. You can no longer use it as an asset to either improve the lines or do other items with it. I truly believe, sir, and members of this board, the people of Oklahoma do not want this line sold.
Commerce Secretary Parman made clear that he saw no value in Representative Morissette's opinion and that a sale was what the legislature has always wanted.
I totally disagree with him. He would not be honored whatsoever or appreciate the fact that a decision would ignore what's the clear legislative intent throughout history of the Oklahoma legislature, which is to return these assets to private ownership when commercially feasible and reasonable.
Part of the purchase offer from the Stillwater Central includes spending another $101 million building a spur line between Stroud to Cushing to move the ever-growing number of tanker cars of oil straight to the pipeline hub.
One of our fastest growing parts of our business is the terminal side of our business. With EOG, we built the first terminal that moved crude oil in 2009, 2010. We built that in Stroud, Oklahoma. We also built the origination terminal in North Dakota. So we see tremendous opportunity into and out of Cushing.
Evan Stair, president of Passenger Rail Oklahoma, sees the rebuilding of the spur line to Cushing as a turning point for rail transportation in Oklahoma.
Railroads to Cushing is the first time I know of in state history that a railroad has been abandoned, scrapped, and come back to life. Maybe we'll get back into an era where we're building railroads rather than abandoning them.
But increasing tanker car traffic also raises concerns of safety. ODOT Commissioner Bradley Burgess raised that issue following several recent flaming derailments involving oil trains.
I know that you know it's an important part of rail service, and can you kind of tell us, you know, is this going to be done, or is that just concerns me just a little bit.
ODOT officials assured the commission that safety is a primary concern, especially when passenger service resumes, and that would mean another expenditure by Stillwater Central for a positive train control system.
In order to establish regular passenger service in 2015, I believe FRA regulations require that if it's a regular passenger operation of over 2 trains a day, that positive train control is necessary.
But before passenger trains can effectively begin those operations, Stillwater Central will also have to spend millions of dollars to further upgrade the Sooner subline to Class 3 status. That would mean freight trains can run at 40 miles an hour, passenger trains at 60.
The curves in through that section are substantial, and they do not allow for speeds of that nature. There would have to be some correction to curvature as well. Perhaps even some super elevation of the track in order to achieve that higher speed.
CEO Rick Webb says Stillwater Central will work with Iowa Pacific Railroad to get passenger trains rolling, possibly as soon as the fall of this year. Evan Stair sees that development as the key to passenger rail expansion that will produce an economic boom for the state.
I believe that this will eventually lead to passenger rail service between Oklahoma City and Tulsa. I think it will be commuter rail service, and that opens up the door for passenger rail service beyond Tulsa to Kansas City and St. Louis.
Stair also warns that citizens will have to remain vigilant to ensure that the final deal the state makes with the Stillwater Central includes all the promises that have been made, and that there is follow-through by all parties involved in the years ahead.